We have a second case tonight. It's Union Township zoning case 15-21-0 for Evans Engineering. They're the applicant. And this is for the property at 3794 Waterford Parkway. Mr. Wright, did you have some opening comments about this case?
Yes, sir, I do, and I'll be brief. This is a proposal for a Big B Coffee in the 125 Ohio Pike corridor. They're seeking just some relief from some setback and signage requirements for this otherwise underlying use that's permitted in this district. This is about a 1.07 acre parcel. It's behind Freddy's and Taco Bell, and they're proposing a new concept Big B cubed coffee, which is essentially about a 350 square foot modular design with some modest site improvements. I think we've got a photo of it here. Let's see if they've got a, nope, no rendering. But they're basically a very small unit, 1 or 2 employees, really designed to make peak hour trips in the morning for coffee, and fairly self-explanatory in that regard. Looking at the landscaping plan, the applicant has actually revised the plan from the original proposal due to some discrepancy on the right-of-way, where the right-of-way was terminated. It was actually overbuilt but abandoned, and so the right-of-way was stopped here and subsequently necessitated the access drive to be moved and relocated in this fashion. They would have the sign located out here on 125. The site does have a panhandle because when the site was platted, it was platted prior to the existence of Waterford Parkway. The dumpster is located well toward the established business to the south, mitigating those concerns, and additional plantings have been provided for consideration. The requirement this evening is in accordance with Section 1310 of the zoning resolution to approve, modify, or deny this request. Should the board choose to grant favorable consideration, there are three considerations or additional recommendations there regarding freestanding monument signage, details regarding composition and design of the structure, and landscaping mounding needing to be provided here to mitigate the impact of headlights, particularly at this time of year in the morning, where it's dark in the morning, even in the later hours of the day. So that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Wright?
Just the same ones always asked. The recommended modifications, are they aware of the modifications?
We've talked to the applicant about that, and actually we put the applicant in touch with the HOA because of the discrepancy with the driveway that necessitated the plan change.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Wright.
And just to be clear, Mr. Wright, the panhandle area is just a buffer zone between the different properties. That's not a driveway, correct?
Well, they actually will have a cross access, and the site was laid out originally. This shows it better. The panhandle goes through here and provides the demonstrated or required road frontage to 125, but they actually will have a cross connection here through this. Probably, will not see a ton of use, but at the end of the day, they have it and it's available for that. So I believe it was recorded as part of the entirety of the land division there. So.
Sure. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay. This is a public hearing. This is case 15-21-0 for 3794 Waterford Parkway. Is there anyone who wants to speak on behalf of this case tonight? Please come forward. Please give us your name and address for the record, and then I'll swear you in.
It's Jane Martin, 3817 Portrush Way, Amelia, Ohio, 45102.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for allowing the residents of Waterford Glen the opportunity to share concerns regarding the future development of a Big B Coffee House adjacent to our homes. As a board member and a condo owner, I conducted a written survey of all condo residents in my community. I would like you to know what the survey revealed. It would cause an increase in traffic, which could compromise the safety of condo owners who are leaving and/or returning home. Many residents have mentioned that they have almost had an accident because of a driver leaving one of the restaurants did not stop at the significant stop sign. An increase in restaurant patrons translates into most close calls or worse, serious accident. When leaving the area, drivers tend to look in the direction of vehicles coming into the complex, but neglect looking for vehicles leaving Waterford Glen heading for 125. Also, drivers drive across Waterford Parkway from Taco Bell, from the side of it, to the KFC side without yielding, again, creating a dangerous situation. Also, there are times when traffic is backed up into Waterford Glen, waiting in line to turn into one of the restaurants. Coming home during that time of day is difficult. We already deal with enough of these types of traffic problems. We don't need to add more. Another restaurant-type facility would mean an increase in trash. While our condo community has installed fences, it's not a 100% solution. We don't need more trash blowing across lawns or landing in our pond. Plus, we didn't get any financial help with the costs from the current restaurants. Why would Big B's be any different? Trash pickup at the large commercial bins, the banging that is part of the process, adds a loud volume of noise at 4:30 in the morning. A resident has called Corey Wright a couple of times about this situation. Absolutely nothing changed. Isn't it amazing that Union Township regulates the time a hammer can pound, but the banging of a large metal bins cannot be done at any time? Big B Coffee would be physically located even closer to the condos, which would make trash pickup even louder. By the way, the condos were here first. Our clubhouse has limited amount of parking. Restaurant patrons often use these parking spots as a place to eat their lunch, supper, or drink their coffee. This is just another disadvantage for our community. Car headlight reflection from current restaurant drive-through is already a problem for us. Why would we want more? Appearance is important to the residents. We feel we live in a beautiful, well-manicured, well-maintained community. Do we want a metal cubicle with minimal windows and minimal decor visible? I don't, and I plan on living in that community for another 20 years. The property where Big B would be built has a shared retention pond. Some residents are concerned about the maintenance cost. The survey revealed that the majority of residents feel a Big B coffee house would not be an asset to Waterford Glen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on behalf of this case tonight? Please come up. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jonathan Evans. I'm at 4240 Airport Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45226.
All right, raise your right hand. You swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you
Yes,
God?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Great.
Please
Good evening.
proceed.
Thank you, trustees. And first, I'd like to say congratulations to you, Ken. All our time working on projects here in Union Township, you've always been great to work with. And your leadership, as I said before, has expressed itself. You know, Corey does a fantastic job, as do the rest of the employees. So congratulations. So anyway, tonight I am here on behalf of the applicant. I was the applicant of Evans Engineering, but the owners or the operators who would be operating this, it's LNG Coffee. It's Eric and Larkin Lang, and they're here as well. I think they could probably answer some questions if you want. But we're here on behalf, we put together a site plan, did the surveying for this project. And, you know, it is a small business looking to move here into a commercially zoned district. And, you know, it's looked to be a complement to the area, to people that want to buy coffee and drink coffee and, you know, be, you know, amongst friends, and that's what it is. So There will be, again, the access point was shown there on Waterford Parkway. We did adjust that. We did submit that. That was oversight on our behalf. But came as a result is there's an ingress egress that comes across from Waterford Parkway, comes across both the properties there, and then also came across this vacant property to the back. And you can kind of see the dash lines. It's real hard to see, but it went straight up toward that dead end, and the pavement extended past there. So we had, we thought that easement went up to that line. So we adjusted that, kept the access point, goes back to Waterford Parkway now, stays on their property and hits the defined ingress egress point along Waterford Parkway. So, but the traffic would come in off Waterford Parkway, and again, as mentioned, it could come in through the Taco Bell lot and circle up into there, or it could come on down and come into the Waterford Parkway, going in a typical fashion like most of these, restaurant operations do, with a counterclockwise fashion here, and order their coffee and pick up, and then exit one of the two ways through there. So, as Corey mentioned, there is a panhandle that runs out to 125. We would be taking a sewer line down through there, and then we do have some signage that's proposed down at the end along 125 there. And we did, take into account some thoughts, and we did do some landscaping, I think a decent landscape screen that's through the northern part there with Norway spruce and arborvitaes, to kind of help screen or buffer our use from the residential to the north there. Prior to that, we did have a sidewalk connection. Again, we removed that after we, certainly realized that we had no rights to go onto that property. So we removed that sidewalk connection. It did kind of connect over into Waterford Parkway, and there's no real pedestrian access going down through to 125, so there's no other pedestrian connection here really. The detention ponds are there. They exist. They were built with the development. There's 2 ponds on this lot, and my client, if they move forward with the project, will be the proud owners of a half of each pond. Again, there's a pond that's shared between the Taco Bell space and the vacant lot here, and there's a second one shared between this lot and the lot that's to the north. So I can't speak to the maintenance of those ponds or what was set up. I wasn't aware that was a total concern, but I do understand that the Waterford Parkway's drainage comes into those. So I think there's probably a shared maintenance or, some sort of operation agreement that is either in place or could be put in place to help discuss the maintenance of those ponds.
And I know there's a lot of drive-through business. Is there any dining room business?
There's no indoor capacity. It's a very small store, 356 square feet.
Right. Okay.
So it's basically the operations. They have workers inside, and they can either, it's mostly through the drive-through or there is a walk-up window to it. But again, I can maybe let the franchisee or the group that's going to be operating it explain some of those things. But I wanted to kind of give a few of the technical background to this.
All right. Any other questions, John?
I did say one, but not for this gentleman, but for Mr. Wright.
Okay?
Yeah, one question.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the counterclockwise drive-through.
Yes.
What would be the impact of a clockwise drive-through?
Well, it's used because the pickup window's always on your left side as you're driving the car, so you kind of circle around, and then, it's okay.
I was thinking about the headlights.
Yeah, so there's the headlights, they'll always circle through. I guess it wouldn't matter how you did that, but, there is, we did some landscaping, some decent landscaping, and the kind that would last all year. It doesn't lose its leaves this time of year, so.
I believe there's a fence there, too.
And then now, the way the curb cut is set, it's going right into where their curb cut comes and hits Waterford, so it kind of makes sense to have it there.
All right. That's all I
Okay,
have.
well, I'm certainly be able to answer questions if you guys have some.
I have a question for you, Mr. Wright.
Yes, sir.
Well, hold on.
Okay,
Just
go
make sure there's no more public comments.
Go ahead.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on behalf of this case? Yes, please come up. Once again, state your name and address for the record, and then I'll swear you in.
Sandra Clark. I'm at 3840 Port Rush Way. I'm with Jane.
Okay. Raise your right hand. You swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Please proceed.
Just a couple of points. So I am with Jade, and I wanted to make a point that there's many members from the Waterford community here. If we would raise your hand, just to know the impact. This is an older community. Am I offending?
They don't look that old.
Right, it's me, that's the old one.
Don't look old to me.
But just some couple points. So we only have one way in and one way out of this community. So, and it's a quiet community. It's a dead-end community. So, and I know you can't control some people, but it brings them back to our community. And take a wrong turn, they're going to see, there's some vulnerability, in my opinion, that these folks bringing this extra traffic, especially where it comes out, where we can only get out in the one area. So I think that's the big point here for these folks, and where I live too, because again, we only have one way in and one way out. And we're just really concerned about that activity that can come. And, and not that it's quiet back there now, but, there's no real need for, I guess, police activity, for the police to come in and, deliveries or whatever. I think there's concerns, people, they're just not out and about as much, so they don't see as much. So it's a big concern that we have, that it's bringing, we're not against the business, but it's where it's coming out to, where we already have difficulty with this group. And next to our clubhouse and things like that too, where, it's dark back there and congested. There's not a lot of ways to go from there. You're back there, you just go the wrong way, and there's no way out. So they're going to come back, and there's still construction back there too, with homes being built. So that back area down through Waterford is vulnerable too, because it's open. So, but yeah, I just wanted to add those comments. So.
That all makes
Yeah.
sense, but I do want to make sure the group understands that was zoned for a business.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so it's just more of, we felt the need to have the conversation. So,
Yes.
which is why you're here. So, yeah.
Thank you.
But thank you.
Any
Appreciate it.
questions?
Thank you, Mr. Rush.
Yes. Well, there's a gentleman in the back. Sir, please come forward. State your name and address for the record. Your name, please.
Ansel Hoyt, 1159 Lahinch Lane. We're adjacent to the whole complex.
Okay. Can you please raise your right
Oh,
hand?
I'm sorry. I'm
Do you
sorry.
swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole
Yes.
truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So help you God?
Yes.
Okay. Please proceed.
Okay. Most of my concerns are environmental.
Okay.
One is parking lot lighting. Right now, we get a big overflow of parking lot lighting from the adjacent restaurants. This one comes closer even. In fact, I live the second closest residence to the restaurant. The restaurant is probably much better choice to go in the area than what a lot of other choices might be. So that's not an issue for me. The other thing, one thing is the trash removal, the dumpsters. I think I understood they're going to be on the south end of the project.
The very bottom of the screen there.
Yes.
Straight right here. Okay, well, you've enlarged it now, I can see now. Okay, that's a help because of the sound, the noise, and the hours that they come to pick up is very important, because the others up there, we can hear them all night long. So just before it becomes an issue. Also, you're showing your drive, the entrance, coming out directly across from Port Rush. There needs to be a definite stop sign so that there's a two-way stop sign. There's a stop sign on Port Rush before they can turn on Waterford Glen, and there's stop signs at both of the restaurant entrances up there, which very few people pay attention to. But there needs to be definite stop sign there. So that, I think that's a definite issue. And the other thing is the whole environment of the whole thing. I hope that this company has a definite plan for maintaining their site in a healthy manner. That is a big issue. He stated the hours of business. The drainage pond maintenance is something that needs to be addressed up front, because this actually drains, that large pond down in the back actually drains about 85% of the entire Waterford Glen development. So there is a lot of water flow comes down, and that level of that pond raises very quickly and backs up in the storm drains if the drain is clogged, which it did a couple of years ago. So that's the main thing. I think you've moved the entrance over to the west, or northwest, I guess it is, which I think that helps a whole lot. That gives a lot of help there. So, and there needs to be a definite and enforced erosion plan when they start, because there's been a lot of that area in there is fill dirt. It was, I think, pushed down there when the restaurants were put in. There's a lot of fill dirt in there, and I don't know what they're going to do with any excess soil, but there needs to be a definite enforced erosion plan to keep that pond from filling up.
That'll be done by the county level. That's not a township
Well, okay.
responsibility, but
Okay.
they do take those concerns into account. So
No-
you're
no
very
one
good to
seems
bring
to-
that up.
No one seems to want to know anything about the maintenance on that pond so far. That's all I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Was there another comment, sir? Please come up and give your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Nick Drever. I live at 3839 Port Rush Way.
Okay, could you raise your right hand, please? You swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, it will be.
Okay, please go ahead.
I just have a brief comment.
Sure.
The biggest concern that everyone seems to have is traffic pattern. If that drive comes out onto Waterford Glen, then it won't be much of a problem. If it goes in there, right now Taco Bell backs up clear to the light times. And if they back up too, if they're busy and they're successful, which I hope they are, that will back our properties, our traffic up into our street, only exit street we have from the whole property. So that's a concern, and that's what I just wanted to reiterate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else who would like to comment? There's someone in the back. I'll let people who haven't spoke yet speak first, if you don't mind. Your name and address for the record, please.
Judy Bobo, 1155 La Hench Lane, Amelia.
Okay, raise your right hand. You swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I sure do.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm probably the condo that's going to be most affected by this. My front yard will look directly at this cubicle of metal. It does have a fence, but the fence doesn't keep lights from coming through, so the lights are going to shine through in my house, my condo. The second thing is that I have talked to Mr. Wright, because every Tuesday and Friday at 4:30 in the morning, they pick up the trash and they bang those loud containers. So every Tuesday and Friday, I'm woken up and I can't go back to sleep. And can you all imagine how you would feel if that was happening? Well, this would be even closer to me, so I'd get to hear the noise even more.
Okay.
That's all I had to add.
Thank you, Ms. Bobo.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please come up. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Winona Jones. I live at 3338 Port West Way, Amelia.
Okay, raise your right hand. You swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Gentlemen, I beseech you to please consider, if this was your residence, if this is where you put your money to live the rest of your life, would you want this in your yard? Would you want this traffic? Would you want this trash? There are other uses for that parcel of land other than a commercial, con-going restaurant. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And is there anyone else who would like to speak? So do you have one more comment, please? Sure. Yes, please. So we could, otherwise, there's a lot of people watching. This gets recorded. A lot of people at home watching. They can't hear you.
Okay. So I too live fairly close to the front of the condo community. I feel that this little coffee shop, it would be ideal to have a coffee shop, but not a drive-through coffee shop. And this is a little, I saw the one that was put together down on Montgomery Road. It's just a little 10 cubicle. It doesn't fit into our plan of how our residents look. Would you want, like she said, this in your front yard, and when your guests and your visitors drive in and they see this metal 10 cubicle sitting there, how does that represent your community? Not nicely. I mean, we moved there because we wanted to retire there. We thought that, Union Township would be the ideal spot to be, but yet they're not really supporting us on this. They're thinking about putting this kind of a coffee shop in. There's no place to sit. We're not going to go there and go get in our cars, drive, 40 feet or 100 feet to go get a cup of coffee and come home. We can do that at Taco Bell or at the chicken place. They have coffee too that's really good. So, please be, aware of our feelings when it comes to okay in this coffee shop.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Yes, please come up. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Patricia Herr. I live at 3843 Port Rush Way.
Okay, raise your right hand. You swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right.
My main concern, once again, is the traffic. I moved here from Anderson Township, and in Cherry Grove in particular, there's a Starbucks right there at the traffic light where the Kroger's is. You come by there numerous times, and it is backed up on Beachmont Avenue because everybody needs the coffee. Granted, it's Starbucks. But still, as other people have said, we have backups due already to Taco Bell and Freddy's. And then they cut across to KFC and Arby's. We have all those restaurants there. Now, when this development began, obviously, there was none of that. So people have lived there longer than I have seen quite a bit of change. This is just going to add more traffic, more trash, and more not nice development. What can I say? I saw the picture also, didn't know what it looked like until I saw it. Looks like one of the old Photoshop booths you used to drive up and drop your pictures off and come back in an hour. So I think, as someone else has already said, we were kind of hoping we'd get a dentist building or some other brick building that would be solid and not have quite as much traffic. So I just hope you would take this all into consideration, and mainly the traffic problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Please come up. Could you please also state your name and address for the record?
My name is Larkin Lang, and my address is 129 Winterberry Road, Mount Orb, Ohio.
All right, raise your right hand. You swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
So, so my husband and I are, who are opening this, or hoping to open this. So I wanted to start with saying a little bit about ourselves and maybe try to address some of the concerns. We both work in public service. I'm an ER nurse. He's a police officer. We wanted to open a coffee shop in particular because we really like giving back and serving people. And I think that both of us were looking for a happier way of doing that, and coffee's happy. You get to serve people, you get to meet your community. And one of the reasons we chose, or we were looking at Union Township is because of the community. It wouldn't probably be very successful if we put this out in like Brown or Adams County right now, but we still wanted that small town feel, like the further out you get. And I think Union Township can give us that. I think that there's a good chance we'll get to meet and really know a lot of our customers and their family, and I'm looking forward to watching our employees kind of grow with us and go off to college and have a new generation come in. So I think that maybe there's some people who think that we are just some big company that came in to do this, and it's not. So that's who we are. Some of the concerns, I can't, traffic, I have nothing to really say about that, except the afternoon traffic. I don't think that our business will affect it as much as the other two that are already there. We're really going to be catching people before 11 a.m. That's going to be our busiest time.
What would be your normal business hours?
6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday is what Big B requires. After we're open, then we can put in a request to change those hours. I have a feeling we won't be open until 9 p.m. A lot of the other Big B locations in Cincinnati and Kentucky shorten those hours. There's not a lot of people that buy coffee at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I think when you have like 24-hour businesses nearby, like hospitals or whatever else is 24 hours, then you might need them to stay open till 9 p.m. I can't imagine that being the case there. I would be thankful if it was, but I would say we'll probably close around 7 if Big B approves that. So traffic in the morning, we do expect to be busy. The drive-through only concept, though, there's a couple reasons we chose that. One is COVID. So with shutdowns, and even when things open back up, people are leery of going inside. And so if you look at a lot of these other restaurants, they're actually moving towards a drive-through only model. I know McDonald's is one that I've read, I don't know for sure, but I've read about McDonald's trialing some of these drive-through only concepts and closing their dining room for who knows how long, extended period of time. So that was something that we considered. Also, it really lets you kind of streamline your process, so it's fast. We're targeting those morning commuters a lot, so in and out, we don't want a line of traffic. I mean, we want a lot of cars, but we don't want people waiting 30, 40 minutes for a cup of coffee. I drink coffee every day, and I don't wait. If the line's that long, I leave. So there's other places I could go to. So the rest of the traffic concerns, like the in and out, we kind of put the entrance in the only place we can because they own some of that property. So that I don't have a whole lot that I can control with it. The trash issue sounds like it's already an ongoing issue. I don't know what I can address with that either. The financial help they asked that they're not receiving from other restaurants, I think that they're talking about the retention pond, and whatever agreement we have to come up with, we have to come up with. If we own 50% and they own 50%, then I think that would just be expected, that we come up with an agreement before we close on how that looks. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's already an agreement in place that would carry over. I have no idea how that works, but we haven't offered to help because we're not in that phase yet. After this meeting, we're just taking it one step at a time. So after this meeting, then it's the next part and the next part, and if we hopefully can move forward and close and do this, then that's definitely one of the steps somewhere in there. One of the issues was people using the parking spots at the clubhouse. I don't see any of our customers doing that because there's no dine-in seating. Car headlight problem, the landscaping, I think Jonathan did a pretty good job. I'm not a landscaper, but when I looked up the trees, a lot of them are like actual trees that are pretty full, so, if I lived there, I wouldn't want light shining in my house either, so whatever we could do, I think that the plan shows that we are trying to block that light. Kind of going back to we chose Union Township, we also want to get along with our neighbors and we want them to be happy we're there. I don't want to start off on the wrong foot of everyone mad that lights are getting shined in their house at 6 a.m. So a couple of people mentioned about the metal building. I've been to the Montgomery location a lot, and I don't know if it's metal, but I do know we have lots of options for our exterior on our building. Stone, brick, metal is probably one of them. So I don't think it's going to be a metal building. We haven't gotten to that phase of the planning on what the exterior finish is going to be, but.
Mr. Wright, are there restrictions on the building materials for the site?
We can certainly include that and have in other areas for an architectural review, just to require traditional building materials.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't think that's a problem at all, if whatever the material has to be. Try to read through my notes, sorry.
One concern brought up was people may go the wrong way and pull into their complex.
I have that here. My thinking is, it's pretty obvious where the light is that you need to get back out to. I don't think that I mean, when I drove back there, I'm not great with direction, and I could see the stoplight pretty clearly in and out.
Maybe some properly placed exit signs or some kind of directional sign maybe
Yeah,
could help.
I mean, if we need an exit to the left sign, then we can do an exit to the left sign, no problem. But yeah, I mean, that's no problem at all. Some of the environmental things, I mean, I think that would be part of our contractor. He has to follow all the laws and regulations. So we would have to, we do plan on hiring I think it's insured, certified, whatever you have to have. Big B's very clear on having the requirements. We can't just hire a friend to come in and
Right.
do the contract work. So that should be done correctly, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that covered most of my notes, so. Any questions I could answer?
Any questions, gentlemen? The other thing I might add is, got a lot of, if you're given favorable consideration tonight, you have a lot of neighbors who could be potential customers too. So, I'm not telling you what to do, but it sounds like it would be a good idea to reach out to them and, I don't know if it's coupons or whatever, but.
Yeah,
So
no.
whatever it takes to listen to them and understand their concerns. So I would think it would probably benefit you on an ongoing basis to work with the residents.
Yeah, never done this before, so I wasn't expecting this much backlash, and maybe that's just me being naive, but I meant it what I said, like I want a good relationship. So I can't change, some people's minds, but I don't want neighbors that are angry at us. So whatever, anything we could change or work on together, come up with a solution, me and my husband both would definitely want that, so.
Okay.
I have a few questions.
Go ahead.
And Mr. Wright, you may need to weigh in on part of these questions too for me, but what would be the impact of just utilizing the entrance through the Taco Bell and where Freddy's is and not having the exit out onto Waterford? And then also I don't know if it's because of the retention pond as it is, the detention pond as it is, that you would be able to move the actual physical location further to the west and further from the residence. Yes, of course, yeah.
I can't answer those, I'm sorry.
I stated a question, what would be the impact of not having the entrance and exit on Waterford, but to just utilize the entrance and exit through the Freddy's and through the Taco Bell? And Mr. Wright would say if there's an issue with that too, that's the way I'm seeing the drawing, I know that there's a separation of the parking lots right there, so that's, you probably don't have the space to take that straight out onto State Route 125, but yes, fundamentally use the Taco Bell entrance that Freddy's is already sharing.
So, sir, if you're going to speak, let me swear you in also.
Yes, sir.
What's your name, first of all, and address?
Eric Lang, and address is 129 Winterberry Road.
Okay. You swear the information you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So as far as the traffic and just having the one entrance, my understanding, and that's limited on traffic patterns, that actually, I was told that would actually make traffic back up worse going towards that light. So if their concern is coming into the business, and you have multiple businesses trying to turn there instead of going straight and turning, then the traffic's going to be even worse.
Okay.
And it kind of congests, is it congested? Like,
Yeah, it'll kind of congest traffic down, whereas having the double entrance actually is taking you straight out on the Waterford Parkway. And honestly, it's a little bit easier for people driving that multiple times. It's a little bit easier for people to understand traffic flow coming in and going straight back into Waterford Parkway versus trying to navigate through the other parking lots and people that are trying to go through those parking lots as well to find their way into the coffee shop. I know you asked earlier, or we were talking about the directional signs pulling out so that you don't go wander back into to their community. In that area, I mean, it's pretty obvious when you come out that that's a dead-end community that you're going into. But, I mean, with directional signs and stuff like that, I just think that it's 100 times better to have that extra outlet coming straight off onto Waterford Parkway. And honestly, I feel like it's a little bit safer, too, in the sense that you have more people that are going to be parked. There's parking spaces actually on that north side of the property line between where Big B hopefully is going to go, Taco Bell and Freddy's. So you have some people that are going to be walking into those restaurants. So the less cars traveling through there in between those spaces, I feel like the better off you are. So I feel like it's really important to have that double entrance. But we did talk about that for this reason and look at it, but we felt that it was better off this way that it's drawn up.
I'm not sure how they would exit if they were going to go eastbound on Ohio Pike there. That would be a problem, probably.
Correct, yeah.
They would need the traffic light. It's a good thought there.
And what is the height on the mounding, the landscaping and the mounding? So along with the 6-foot Norway spruces, which is a very fast-growing tree, but there's mounding as well.
We have typically recommended a minimum mound height of 3 feet from grade, and then the plantings in addition. And certainly that would be the board's discretion if you thought that the mounding needed to go higher. Keep in mind, though, the higher you go, the wider the impact of the mound will be. So, I would think a minimum of 3 feet.
Yeah.
Plus the plantings would be required.
Do you have an idea of what the height you'd be able to go to on the mounding?
I think it's comfortable height, about 3 feet.
There's no ability to move higher? Yeah, they'll get wider, but do you have, I mean, is there any
Well, there's an existing drainage swale that's up along that, north line as well. It's an existing drainage swale, probably for part of Waterford development, so we wouldn't be able to want to block that.
Okay.
So we have to work around that existing
Okay.
swale and then start running.
And that is one of the swales that goes into the ponds, correct?
Yeah, I don't know, Tori, you have some pictures there?
So,
Yeah, I'm gonna,
Something there.
so you would be responsible for maintaining the swales as well as I've heard that come up often about the maintenance on those ponds. And that's a traditional
Yeah, that's
issue.
one of those things we have to look into. We're doing the title search and everything like that now to find out what all agreements were made, verifying all the property line, everything with that. But we're also going to go back and do our due diligence phase and make sure to see if there was any pre-existing agreements about the pond. And if there's not, then we'll be glad to talk with them about it, entertain any ideas they have, and sit down with them to come up with an agreement. Like my wife Larkin said, we want to get along with the community. We're not just trying to come in and throw some building in and not worry about what we do. And these people are obviously concerned, and we would like to do whatever we can to work with them and cooperate, and hopefully have a partnership or a relationship at some point with them.
Typically with the maintenance agreements on the ponds correct me, is it retention? Is that a retention?
Those appear to be retention, they're
Okay.
wet.
So they've got the grading, right, that allows the controlled leak, or do not?
I'm not sure about the specific design of those basins. I mean, they were put in 2005 or 6, I think.
Okay.
So I don't know what the specific outlet structures are, or whether they've been, mucked out or anything like
Yeah.
that. But, I mean, I'm not aware, nobody's reported that there's an issue with them to us. I don't know if anybody's talked to the county,
Yeah.
so.
Currently, the maintenance would be on the two ownership.
Um,
Sounds like part of the Waterford,
Yeah,
or part of the,
Yeah, I don't know if they addressed it specifically in the easements or the declarations and restrictions that were recorded when the subdivision was recorded. I'm not sure. I don't know.
okay. I'm just going through my notes here, okay? So as as trustee McGraw stated, zoning is in accordance with the land use plan. Cover the ponds, cover the entrance. Regarding the comments on trash and anything that's unsightly, I mean, the zoning department and zoning inspection would be the first place for anyone in the community to be making calls to as well on that, to ensure that was going. Mr. Wright, in that location, being commercial and is the land use and zoning that it is a noise resolution even effective or utilized for the trash pickup time? And then also on the noise, with a building and with the trees, I imagine that would dampen the noise as well.
Okay, so I'll answer the second part of your question first. I think that the more vegetation you put on a piece of property, the more it's gonna knock that down and stifle that, additionally with building and all that. The residents, we have a residential trash ordinance now, and I've spoken to the police chief about that when the complaints came in, but it does not regulate commercial property. So we can make contact with Rumpke on their behalf, or whomever. Sometimes it's Rumpke, sometimes it's Republic, sometimes, I don't know, I don't want to put anybody on Front Street, but you make contact with whomever they said the driver was, and then try to reach out. And usually it has to do with route time, and the hotter the weather, usually the earlier they are. That's been the experience. But, I mean, I have not heard lately from them, but I guess it continues. It's what we're hearing tonight.
Okay.
So.
You said your hours of operation can go to 9 PM. Is there parking lot lighting that is on that will be off?
Yes.
At close?
Yeah.
There's concerns on stop signs being ran, needing the stop signs there. Mr. Wright, would speed tables be of any benefit on Waterford Glen or on the exit of their parking lot, so someone's not speeding out of their lot? Something to look at.
Private property, I mean, I guess that I've seen them on private property in other places.
I
But
think that, sorry. I think that the parking lot is so small, I don't think you could even speed in it. I mean, I guess you could, but by the time you're pulling out, you're right there at the exit. So, I mean, you could technically speed around the building, but that would be about it. It's a pretty small area.
Okay, I think I'm down to one of my last questions here right now, and that's, you mentioned, you know, a lot about integrating with the community and wanting to work with the community. Has there been community engagement with the community prior to where you are tonight? And let me also ask, you're going through the process of purchasing the land still?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, so I mean, we're obviously not gonna purchase the land if we weren't approved to put this there. So, no, we have not reached out to the community. We've actually not told many people at all about this, just a few close family members and a few close friends. So we have, till what, December to close. So it's a pretty quick turnaround process, but we heard from their attorney yesterday to give us a heads up that originally the entrance exit it was, yeah, it was over a little, which they have like a common area on, so we just moved it so that we weren't on that. And then she also brought up the concerns about the retention pond, and I told her the same thing, that if she had any prior agreement, let us know, and if not, then we'll meet with them and come up with one, that I think that's reasonable. So those were the only two concerns the attorney brought up, which I thought would be brought up tonight, and they were. I guess that, you know, it's just been a fast process. There really wasn't, I didn't feel like we should reach out to the community at that point in time when we hadn't purchased it yet, I guess. But one of our, you know, like, when we envision what this looks like in the next 2, 5, 10 years, we want to be a part of this community. I don't want to be the outsider of it. Like I said, I want to have high schoolers working there. I want to know the customers that come in. I want to bring coffee over when they're all out at the pool. Like, I want this to be a family-oriented business. I want to know them personally. I don't want to just hire people and say, I'm going to go home for the day. So that's something that I just assumed would happen. We just hadn't got to that phase yet.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Wright, are you, and to the applicants as well, you said it's a rush, kind of has moved quick. Have you talked with Mr. Wright on other potential areas too that satisfies what you're looking for within Union Township? I mean, has this been an exhaustive search, and this is?
Yeah, we've looked at a lot of areas, yeah. Not with Mr. Wright, no, but we have a broker who, that we've worked with, and this was our favorite location by far.
Mr. Wright, are you aware of any other potential locations also that would be, you know, great environment that would offer, you know, the same or better?
I mean, we kind of picked this specific location because of a traffic count, you know, a traffic light, or
The size of the lot.
size of the lot.
Right.
And so, I mean, we were kind of pretty well set on that lot, and being in Union Township, we have looked at other areas. And we also did this, like Larkin said, with a broker as well as the area representative for Bigby. So there's a lot of hoops we jumped through, but we did a lot of due diligence. We've been looking actively for land when we finally found this one and settled on this lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with the type of concept with one of the coffee shops that's, now this is up near Sycamore Township or off Montgomery Road. But it's a standalone unit that's in a parking lot that services a strip mall and everything that's behind it, and people come in and hit those hours. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for having us.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one question about the garbage too.
All right, well, ma'am, you've already spoken twice. Is there something else you need to add, or? Okay, please come up. We're trying to move this along.
Yeah, we're going to do this in and out, just like the coffee's going to be.
I talked to the realtor this last week about that. He said it is under contract. Okay, if it's under contract, why didn't they approach the community at that point? Apparently, it was pretty serious if it's under contract. It wouldn't have gotten this far. the board only happened to find out about this by accident. I mean, township didn't even come and say anything to us. I mean, I would have felt that if we're one big happy family, we could have gotten together and solved some of these issues without coming here tonight. I think we need to be a little bit more open with each other. This idea of the community going and getting coffee and then dragging it back home and drinking it, there's no place to sit down out there. We can go next door and get coffee and sit down and socialize. So, I mean, I'm willing to meet with even the township. If they want to come over, we can point things out, or the potential home, property owners. I'd gladly do that. But keep us included. You know, just don't make an assumption that we're very happy with this, because we're not.
Sure.
So, thank you.
Well, we appreciate all the comments. I mean, it helps us understand the situation.
Ma'am, that's great. Thank you for the comments, because I do think, you know, we can take it forward for, you know, for part of the process, and to ensure that communication is there. You talked about, you know, being able to work through some of those issues and find solutions. Do you think that at this point in time that, again, you know, this young couple opening this shop, they've, you know, want to know when to reach out to the community and engage? You know, do you think that there's engagement that can occur now? And we can always have hindsight and look back and say it could have been better in different ways, but do you think that there's an opportunity to work through solutions?
Ma'am, would you like to speak?
Yes, I would.
Could you state your name and address for the record?
Yes, I'm Lori Hedrick, and I live at 3858 Port Rush Way, which
Okay,
is
raise your
within the community.
right hand. You swear what you're about to say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead and speak.
I think for some people, part of the issue is the access and egress. I mean, I would be more comfortable if it was there, if the egress was through the parking lots of Taco Bell and Freddy's. Because some of us walk in the community and the sidewalk takes us around our clubhouse. And we kind of like that. We kind of like the privacy of not having cars come into what, you know, feels like our homes. The other thing I want to mention is I moved in over a year ago. I was there in the condo for a week, and someone came, I assume, from one of the other food establishments and took a wrong turn, went down La Hinch, which is right off of, almost across from Waterford Parkway, drove into one of the driveways and almost drove into my condo. And when the police officer came, and he came promptly, because several neighbors called, the man had no idea how he got there. They had to tow his car away. I was fortunate that it had rained because the car got stuck. Otherwise, he would have crashed into my brand-new home. The other thing, I can see where this couple has really nice intentions and want to do a nice thing. I'm not sure the location is kind of pretty, but I'm not sure that they're going to get the traffic that they would hope to have to be viable, because you can't see this location from 125. And I think it will just bring more traffic in. That's not real popular, I guess, for the homeowners. And that's it, but thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak tonight? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. We'll close the public hearing portion of this case. Gentleman up on the floor for the trustees. Mr. McGee, I think you
Yes.
had a question.
I did. I forgot what it was, but let's try again.
The trash.
It's on the trash, Mr. Wright. I know we have early morning time restrictions on residential areas.
Yes.
But just be a commercial, like you said, is there any way we can restrict those people from it, or would it be out of line even to mention that? Because I know they have to get it done at a certain time before the traffic gets heavy for them out there.
I don't know of any other instance where we've restricted commercial trash anywhere in the
That was
township.
my question, because that was my concern. I know some time ago, we had to set an ordinance up when some people complained about trash in their area. And it was taken care of by Rumpke and all the others. They agreed no trash pickup before 6:30 in the morning. So, wonder if we could do any time restrictions on that or not, if at all possible. That's all.
Mr. Wright, if we wanted an architectural review by the staff, is that a condition we would have to add, or is that something that's normally done anyway?
I would recommend adding an additional condition if that's what the board would want.
Okay.
And then specifying materials, stone, brick, whatever the board chose.
So typically, when we do these restaurants, what are the materials that are typically allowed?
You know, brick, stone, some metal accents, wood. But, in this particular instance, what I think I heard the applicant discuss, they have a stone or some kind of a stone option, maybe a stucco option or something. I don't know what they offer as far as the panel and siding requirements.
Any other questions, John?
Did we get any comment on cars per hour through there? I'm familiar with, the Dunkin' that recently moved locations. That was, again, cars per hour that they knew that they could move through the location and help to ensure that they had their schematic drawn out to where you could see how many cars were packed in, would be in line, how many could move through per hour, and you'd not have to back up onto the road and at the intersection there. I thought that was, really well detailed out. Mr. Wright,
That was not provided to us, no, on the cars per hour.
you have thoughts on that, Trustee McGraw, Trustee McGee?
Does their business model suggest anything like that?
No, not that I have seen, but I can ask our area representative, I'll ask her now, see if she has an answer.
Sure.
But that's not something I've heard of.
I'm sure they have some kind of general idea. Any other questions besides that?
Familiar with that location, Ms. Hendricks, that the traffic and the setback from the road, I definitely see those concerns. But that's not necessarily, when it comes to, property rights and an owner's rights, they're in the purchase of purchasing it. It's not really in the perspective to tell you what you can and can't do with your property. And that's what makes that difficult at different times. But I'm happy to hear it's an exhaustive search. You must know what you're getting into with that, with the Freddy's and the Taco Bell that, again, said already served coffee.
Mr. Wright, on the recommended modifications, there's 3, I believe, correct? Number 2 regards the composition design of the structure shall be provided during the permitting process. Would we be able to amend that restriction for the materials to include natural materials of brick, stone, stucco?
You certainly could amend that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Either you gentlemen have question or concerns on the landscaping mounding? That minimum height of 3 feet, I've heard that's the minimum. We actually don't really have the answer as to the impact on the swale. There's
Yeah.
definitely the potential that the mounding could come back if the research is done.
Mr. Evans said 3 foot would probably be, is that minimum or maximum?
That-
We can try to get as much as we can. I just said 3 feet sounds like a reasonable number.
And Mr. Wright stated that 3 feet would be the minimum to
That's
even
what I said,
accept
minimum.
for mounding, and that would be, you know, I think in the best case scenario where mounding would be required versus more or less a worse, you know, scenario where the adjacent owners have the concerns.
Well, if there's a motion put forward, you could amend the number in the modifications. Also, I believe the ingress egress, like through the parking lots of the other restaurants, wouldn't be permitted. That's their private property, even though it's a public restaurant.
That's right.
You can't design an exit strategy that goes
Right
through
their
somebody else's property.
Right through Taco Bell and Freddy's.
So at least in this case, it doesn't look like it's designed to be in that fashion. Not to say cars won't do that, they probably will, but I don't think we could
No,
demand that.
yeah, no, I recognize your point, yes.
I think cars will take the easiest way out, but they'll most likely do. But I understand the concerns, you don't want people going down the wrong path.
Amen.
Were you able to get an answer at all? Or? Okay. Mr. Logue, is that something you want to wait to see, or you want to concede that, or for now, unless they come up with an answer?
So, Mr. Trustee McGraw, you've talked about the amendment for number 2 for stone,
Stone brick or whatever.
potentially amendment on number 3 for the mounting height.
Yeah.
Make it 4 foot. With those evergreen trees, 6 foot evergreen.
Mr. Wright, are you aware of what would be I mean, we've heard a maximum of 3 feet over from the designer, but are you aware of what a potential maximum has been used historically in that type of location, or?
I think we've specifically recommended heights in the realm of 3 feet from grade, and then planting 6 feet tall
Yeah.
from grade with a staggered planting strategy. And we typically recommend Norway spruces because they do very well here,
Yeah.
particularly in an open field like this.
Yeah.
I think we're looking to block headlight spray, so I mean, how typical of how high is a headlight?
Right,
So I think 3 feet probably would fall in that range,
yeah.
just to cover that.
And the spruces would cover that once they start growing. They
Yeah.
grow quickly.
So if you, I mean, we'll see what kind of motion's made, but we could modify it to 4 feet, just to give it a little bit more,
I think 4 foot's
to help address the concerns of the residents. That's just my suggestion. Is there any other discussion, or?
What was the discussion we agreed on for the composition and design of the structures?
To include a architectural review by our staff. And include traditional materials. Such as brick, stone, stucco. And that's where the staff review comes in. They can work with the business property to make sure that they're following the guidelines set forth. Anything else, gentlemen? Then if there's no other discussion, I'll ask for a motion. This is for zoning case 15-21-0. We're being asked to approve, modify, or deny this focus area request. This is for 3794 Waterford Parkway. Big B Coffee, Evans Engineering is the applicant, and there are recommended modifications. Is there a motion? Gentlemen, do anybody want to make a motion to either approve, modify, or deny this request?
With the architectural review, what would be the timetable or process, timeline for that? I mean, is it something with the silence? I mean, is it something that want to see and get the car per hour again, or?
You could put that car per hour as a modification to be added as part of the permitting.
We seem to be writing
Would we even know on?
I wouldn't, I mean,
is
you're
there-
asking, you're the one asking for it, but
Yeah.
I don't, honestly don't know what the number would mean. Maybe you have a better
Yeah,
feel
it was
for
just,
that.
it was just,
I'm not
you know,
sure what, if they gave us a number right now, I'm not sure.
informational when Duncan,
Yeah.
you know, presented and gave it.
We could
to
ask them.
help with that congestion or understand that congestion, that what they expected and what they could serve.
We could request that be added as part of the permitting process.
Okay.
I'm sure they could get the information in the near future.
We're getting a lot of modifications here. We need to have a type review here.
Okay.
I'm looking at the modifications, and I don't know where to start, begin.
What do you want to read modification, what we added to number 2, Mr. McGee, we added?
You added an architectural review by the staff. To include the brick and stone, such as brick and stone, for review for the building itself. And we came back with something else after that.
So far, Mr.
Mr. Logue wanted
Mr. Logue,
to-
are you okay with that addition to modification number 2?
Yes, the traditional materials, stone, and architectural review.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Logue wanted to change modification number 3 to a mounting height of 4 feet.
Yes.
And was there anything else? So in the, if someone makes a motion, they would, once we agree on modifications, then they would just list the 3 modifications as agreed upon by the trustees.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Logue wanted to also add something about the, how would you say that, Mr. Logue, about the cars per hour?
Cars per hour expected versus, and cars per hour serviced. Similar to, Mr. Wright, similar to what Duncan had provided.
Cars for hours per service?
Yes.
So would that be a new modification, then number 4?
That would be number 4.
Applicant would provide cars per hour estimates. For staff review.
Wow. Okay.
So would someone like to make a motion one way or another on this case?
I make a motion that in accordance with section 1310 of the zoning resolution, trustees enter into a motion to approve the focus area overlays with modifications. 1, freestanding signage will be the same. Number 2 shall be changed. The composition of structure design, architectural review staff to include traditional methods such as brick or stone for the building. And number 3, the landscaping molding shall be changed to 4 foot in height, mounding with evergreen trees 6 foot in height. And number 4, we have a applicant should provide cars for service for staff review
Per hour.
per hour.
Okay. Is there a second? I'll second it.
Roll call. Mr. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. McGraw,
Yes.
Mr. Logue.
Motion passes with 2. I'll yes.
Motion carries.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for all your comments. Hopefully, you guys can reach out to the community here, because that's a big, obviously, they're very concerned, and maybe work out, like you said, coffee by the pool in the spring, and when the pool opens, or how, maybe for Christmas, if you're open that soon. But whenever the store opens, down the road, please work with these residents to make sure their needs are met. We appreciate that.